what is our melanin culture? What is melanin culture? Because you got that Asian people, different Asians, they have their own specific culture, the way they do things, the way they eat things, the way they do this and that. Hispanics have their own different culture and things like that. But I don't feel like we really have that culture at all. So what do you think as far as black culture?
So when I think about it, I mean, first of all, you have to think about the strength of our people to be forcefully ripped from your lands, not being able to maintain your histories, your traditions, and all of those things that get passed on from generation to generation.
Mm-hmm.
With all the other things that dilute your original culture over the centuries that you can't hang on to. So, like, I was talking to one of my engineers one day, and we were talking about something, and he had mentioned, yeah, I told him I was drinking some scotch, and he was like, yeah, shout out to my ancestors on that because guess he comes from Scottish descent.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of stopped texting after that because it's always like we can't say, oh yeah, that's my whatever side, or that's my such and such coming out, because you hear it all the
Right.
time. Like folks are like, yeah, that's that Irish blood in him, or you hear that, or that's that Japanese, or that
Mm-hmm.
Korean, or whatever. I mean, when you start hanging around with different cultures, that's that Cuban, that fiery Puerto Rican blood, or whatever.
Yeah.
You don't have that as much. But I think what happens is we build that now, and we have been building it. So I mean, but I think the one thing is it's kind of geographic, because I mean, if you think about our people that are in like the South, when you think of stuff in the South, there's certain things that come to mind.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about the Northeast, there's certain things that come to mind. The Midwest, Texas is its own thing. Um, I mean, it's like its own country, man. It's fucking crazy,
Yeah, you ain't never
and,
lied.
and they're proud of that shit too. And then you think about the folks on the West Coast, it's just different pockets. And I think as time goes on, that'll be that culture that gets latched on to. Somebody is jamming. Damn.
Yeah, I heard that.
Speaking of culture, damn, feeling it in their soul somewhere. So I mean, I think that is the culture that we're basically building culture from the ground up with, you know, little help, if you will. I mean, you think about like that soul food culture and where that comes from, or you hear about like the pig feet and the chitlins and making food from, the scraps that were left over, and being able to survive and have strength and make do with little to nothing. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
think, and starting to going from scratch, you start to have every generation doing better than the last, and building on and building on. And I mean, there's some stupid stuff going on too, but I mean, I think not only that, but then the cool thing is if you think about the culture period,
Mm-hmm.
for us to not have our historical heritage with us as it stands today, we're such a force that we drive the culture now. I mean, you talk about black TikTokers, you talk about the dances, you talk about the music, and we've talked about all these things. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
look at when our people get into gymnastics, tennis, golf. I mean, look at the changes that happen. I mean, basketball, um, all that stuff. I mean, you just look at it. We quarterbacks, we getting to see more black quarterbacks. You're getting to see more coaches. I mean, like you think about when like black quarterbacks first started being a big thing in the league, that changed the way offenses were ran. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
not even a big football buff, but you remember that.
Yeah.
Um, so so I mean, you just look at. I mean, it happens with everything. It happens when think about when rap music came on the scene. Think about, I mean, just all that kind of stuff where it just shifts the culture, and and drives how things are done. The fashion. Oh man, don't let me forget about the fashion. Just so many of those areas, and I mean that's just a testament to who we are. I mean, for all that we don't have, there's so much more that we create and we're bringing to the table.
Yeah.
Like here, this is us. So I'm gonna turn that back on you, man. What do you think? And I have a
And
question for you too.
that's actually really, really freaking deep, man. Like you're absolutely right, man. We pretty much created our own culture from nothing because our culture was snatched from us. Even though some people say we're not even from Africa, we're descended from Native Americans, which may be true, which may not be true. I don't know.
Partially, sure.
Um, but the fact that we don't really have our traditional historic culture, it kind of hit me in a certain way because you know what I'm saying my wife is from Guam and they still have their culture. They're
Yeah,
deep rooted
yeah.
and it's not that I'm hating on her or them, but you know what I'm saying
No, I
it's a little
understand.
envious. You know what I'm
I
saying? A little
understand.
envious because you know they got their own language, the way they do things, the what they believe in and things like that. Yeah, uh, the Spanish and everybody came over there and changed up their culture and everything like that just a little bit, but they still retain the essence. However,
Right.
the essence of our culture was beaten out of us. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And as the years grew on, like I mentioned earlier, something I would go back to. We didn't talk to our elders, you know what I'm saying, and really get anything from our elders to latch on to.
Those or yeah, those right, right, right. That's true.
And you know what I'm saying? That just keeps going because the kids are not really getting anything from their elders like they used to back in the day where they sit down and talk to grandma,
Hmm.
grandpa about stuff, you know what I'm saying, hearing stories and things like that. But the resiliency of us is fucking amazing, bro. Like you said, man, dance, fashion, music, even religion to an aspect, you know what I'm saying? Even though we adapted to that religion, but I'm not gonna dig too deep in that because you know how I feel about that. Um, we
Yeah,
even
that makes sense.
embrace yeah, we've even embraced that and turned it to something of our own. The question I have, I know you had a question, but I'm gonna bounce that back off of you. You
Go ahead.
mentioned how, you know, we came over and you know we took these scraps and everything like that. Essentially, that's where soul food came from, the pig feet, the chitlins, everything like that, from us getting the scraps. Should we be embracing, I guess, what you want to call slave culture as our own?
I mean, that's a tough question. I mean, there's because I mean, if you say yes, you don't want to be like, oh, slavery was a good thing because that's bullshit.
Right.
Um, but I mean, I will say, not necessarily slavery culture,
Mm-hmm.
but the resiliency of our people. You
I
take
was just about to
you
go
take
with
with
it.
you.
Yep.
I mean, and that transcends all that other shit
Yeah.
and all the shit that they're trying to do now. It transcends all that. And I was gonna say, when you talk about like your wife and her friends and family and their culture and stuff like that, it's not about being envious because I understand that. I mean, it's wondering what that feeling is like. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's more of that because when I visited and I met your family out there, I guess my family too now. Shout out to them. Real talk. You thought about that. You looked at like certain things they did and things they talked about and some of the conversations we had while I was there. I mean, some of the stuff that's passed on, you
Mm-hmm.
know, you kind of wonder what would that be like to just be like, oh yeah, your great 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 great
Yeah.
great 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 grandfather used to do da 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 da, and because of that, you are yada yada yada. I mean,
Wonder
it's
what it feel like.
yeah, and I mean, on the financial side, I mean, you think about that. I mean, you think about whenever you hear about old money, we don't really have that luxury.
No.
So we got to build up when we can and draw the line in the sand and be like, damn it, there'll be a time when our great 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 grandkids will be like, oh, they put us up and
Mm-hmm.
they started this thing off something positive. So I mean, that's my thing. But my question to you is, when you think about black culture or melanated culture, as you want to call it, there are other melanated folks or folks that are of a darker hue. You got like your Afro Caribbeans, your black folk, your I can't remember the exact term, but your African, your black folks that are in Brazil. I mean, because there's a
Mm-hmm.
huge, and I didn't realize that until I was there. Black contingent of people in Brazil. I mean, people that look just like your cousins and all that stuff. And I mean, they had some of those same stories. I mean, they invented a whole martial art. I mean, I think there was one here too, but that's a story for another day. You can cover that on the Melanin Warrior podcast because I'm sure you got it on the list. Um, Shout out to that, by the way. That's pretty dope.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Um, let's see. So, what I was going to ask you is thinking about those other cultures out there, or the folks that come from different parts of Africa and stuff like that. Do you feel that they add to the culture? They're a separate part of what's considered Black culture, or how do you feel that they fit into the puzzle?
At one point, I feel like it was separated because us as American melanin folks was, I guess, looked down on as thugs, and you know how media played us up to be. That's
Yeah,
how our outside melanin brothers and sisters
sure.
looked at us also. However, now, you know what I'm saying, people are actually taking trips to Africa and they're reading more and they're going to Brazil and they're learning this and they're learning that. And they're actually digging a little deeper, you know what I'm saying, going way beyond the surface and making these connections. And being that they're making these connections now, it has significantly changed.
Hmm.
Where it's not necessarily our culture unless we choose to embrace it because it's a new world. If you want to feel like that's your culture, you sticking to it. That's what you're gonna do. You know what I'm saying? Just like when I did the ancestry stuff I did. You know what I'm saying? I'm not
Hmm.
gonna really put them out there like that, but the
Hmm.
ancestry thing I did. Some people say it's merely for entertainment. Some people believe it to, you know what I'm saying, their core. But for me, it was kind of in between. But it gave me something kind of to latch on to. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
I
saying?
remember
To
that.
kind of feel good about it. You know what I mean? Like I'm a barasa. Like that shit is so cold. But you know what I'm saying? It's basically like that, man. I think we're connecting more. They're understanding the more westernized melanin people more, and
Hmm.
they're starting to see our struggle because social media. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, oh
And they're
yeah.
starting to feel where we're coming from now and saying, "Hey, man, y'all come on back home, man. The USA ain't fucking with y'all like that. Come on to Africa. Come on to Brazil. We'll take you. We got you." So that's really what I think about that.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, I agree that, but I mean, the unfortunate thing is that for those that are like that and like, yo, we ride with you, we rock with you, we fuck with you. There are those that are like, no, keep them away from me. That ain't
Yep.
us. That ain't
Yeah.
us. They are African American. They are black. I am not. I am, Afro Cuban or Afro Brazilian or Nigerian or Jamaican or Haitian. And shout out to all of those cultures, man.
Hmm.
But there are those that embrace it and some of those that are like, no, we different. And I mean, that's your business. That's your right. I don't care. That's what you choose to do. But I'm still going to handle mine and we still going to establish these legacies for our family. So that's
Oh
to
yeah.
me what's the most important shit.
And that right there is prime example why I like to use the word melanin because it doesn't separate any of us.
Mm-hmm.
Asians, Hispanics, Africans. It Melanin is melanin. Look up the definition, guys. If you don't know what melanin means, everybody should know what melanin is by now. But if not, check it out. And you know what I'm saying. I use that to kind of to bring us in. But it's like you said, man. Regardless, we're going to build a legacy. Yes, our last name in particular is, you know what I'm saying. I guess a slave name because you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Every melanin person in America's last name comes from the slave owners. So
Yeah.
we still embrace it. We still, I tell the kids all the time when they're on Facebook, hashtag Fowler Power and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna embrace who
Sure.
we are and we're gonna build something out of nothing because that's essentially what we've always done since we came over. Our ancestors came over on those ships, or our ancestors who lost their land, if we're really Native American and all that other stuff, which we really won't ever fully know for sure unless we got bands. Like a lot of those celebrities are finding out that they're princes and all that other shit. You know what I'm saying? Unless we got bands like that, but
Mm-hmm.
we just gonna, like you said, we're building it. You know what I mean? The music, that's part of culture. The food is part of culture. Yes, yes, fried chicken. Everybody likes fried chicken, but when you think fried chicken, you hear, oh, those Negroes and their fried chicken. They love that shit. Hell yeah, that's just fucking delicious, and we're gonna keep on loving that shit. Damn it, I love fucking soul food.
Yeah.
Collard greens, damn it. Cornbread. I love it, man. I love it. And that's just part of us, man. The shit like that makes me smile when you're in a spot and other ethnicities like in the soul food spot, they ain't never had chitlins or they ain't never had collard greens or anything like that, and taste it. Like Janae was the same way. I think it was collard greens she ain't never had before. It's a couple things she ain't never had before until we got married, and she was like, "Damn, this shit's good." And the funny part about that shit, this is good, but it's just like this, or it's just like that, which goes to show how interconnected we are as a people without even fucking realizing it.
Yeah, and I mean, I think if people realize more of that shit, there'd be less more division.
Yeah, damn right.
For real.
Damn right.